Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. Today, we are discussing a spectacular launch, rarely seen, from 2021. This is the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Jumbo Pavé. It is a 15202 BC, which means it's a 15202 in white gold, but including 1,102 gems of nearly identical color and clarity so that there is no gradient from gem to gem and component to component. Take a look at this. The entire bracelet, the dial, even the intermediate plots, fully paved with diamonds in escalating and de-escalating scales. This is a watch of extraordinary rarity, such that I can say it's the only example I've ever encountered. Let's talk about the fundamentals. Still white gold, still 39 millimeters in diameter, 8.2 millimeters thick. If we measure lug to lug just across the case, it's 49 millimeters. If we measure the intermediate plot, that is the intermediate link on each side, then the total distance across the wrist is 52.2 millimeters, which is why I always advise people to consider a Royal Oak, especially on a full bracelet, to wear one or two sizes larger. So think of this as more like a 40 or a 41 round watch. Now on my wrist, it wears like a 15202, which is to say it is very flat and it'll fit underneath the cuff. No issues there. It is a little bit broader than a 39, and I recommend this watch for wrists, I would say 15 centimeters in circumference if your wrist is round. 14 centimeters would be the lower limit if your wrist is more oval and flat across the top like mine. There's the over-the-top shot. There's the cuff shot. And then I'm going to do one rolled down the barrel shot so you can see each side. Normally, when I talk about a Royal Oak, I talk about the finish of the metal, and that's definitely here, but it's unconventional. You can see it's been sneaked in by the finisher. You can see that we still have the vertical satination on the side of the links. We still have the bevel that expands on the lug hood and then continues aligned down the intermediate links. We still have the outer satinated lip of the bezel and then the rounded polished flank, but we don't have the vertical satination on the top. We don't have the finished lug hoods. We don't have the same degree of longitudinal finish across the top of the links. But whereas it takes 9 to 11 hours to hand finish a conventional Royal Oak bracelet, it takes dozens upon dozens of man hours to gem set this bracelet. This is a very rare watch, and production of it is constrained not by market demand, but by the capacity of AP's gem setters to do all of this by hand. This is a very special and rarefied item. Now you can see it is still very much the original Royal Oak Jumbo. When Gerald Genta created the first in 1972, fancying himself a jewelry designer first and foremost, he wanted to create a bracelet for a man that just happened to include a timepiece, and he did that. Integrating case, bezel, lugs, and bracelet with a taper, he achieved his goal. Inspired by a vintage diving helmet, he created a bezel that was a rounded octagon. And what's fascinating here is the watch is crafted of two different white golds. AP is one of the few companies that uses rhodium plating or platinum family plating on its white gold. So you can see how this white gold is truly blinding white like platinum. But if you look at the bolts in the bezel, which are traditionally white gold, this is non-plated white gold. You can see how much warmer that bolt is compared to the flange around it, or even compared to the white gold on the bezel and the case flank. So there is this little tonal contrast between the traditional unplated white gold of the bolt and then the blindingly rhodium-plated white gold of the case. Bracelet is built the same way. You can see removable links fixed by screws here. The clasp is as spectacular as the rest of the watch. You can see twin trigger release, satinated and media blasted internally. It's a sequential close. The AP logo is one of the few parts of this watch that has not been paved. And little details matter. Take a look at the pusher, the trigger for the clasp. You can see how it's been beveled and satinated on different facets. Very special stuff. Rolling back to the case, you can see that the character line of the bezel still continues unimpeded through the mid case and the case back. And then the bezel gasket remains very subtly expressed. We have a crown here that is a push down, as you'll find on other jumbos. The watch is 50 meters water resistant, but with a push down rather than a screw down crown. I'm going to advise you to just consider that splash and rain exposure, not actual swimming. And of course, the crown is hexagonal to match those bolts. The dial is the Petite Tapisserie. It is the small hobnail, cut on a pantograph, and here garnished with baguette diamonds for our indices. It is illumined, but only the hands, as you could see. Now, the watch includes little white gold indices that actually serve as the mounting points for the gems, and then white gold hands and white gold AP logo at center. The Petite Tapisserie, it is cut on a pantograph lathe, which is a 19th century mimicry engine that takes a large template and then inscribes all the details of the template on a smaller brass blank that becomes the dial. And you can see that there's a lot more to it than just the hobnails. There's textures between and across the hobnails. You can also see that AP kindly included a date disc to match the unique ice blue color of this dial. I love to see that. Now, around the back side, the AP 2121. With the date, it's only 3.05 millimeters thick, based on the 1967 JLC 920, and a Bausch commissioned by and only used by Patek, Vacheron, and AP. Today, AP makes this movement in-house and finishes it in-house, so it's been a AP manufacturer movement for a while, and you can see it's an unusual construction with this beryllium ring that runs all the way around. So the mass sits on one side of the ring. The ring goes all the way around the movement. There are 4 ruby roller bearings at the corners that allow the ring and the mass to be sunken really close to the bridges and plates without contacting them. That's how the base movement manages to be just 2.45 millimeters thick. That was part of JLC's ploy back in the late 60s to create the thinnest automatic movement that could be made reliable and accurate. Now, it's a unidirectional winder with a beat rate of 19,800 vibrations per hour, 40 hours of power reserve, 36 joules, and you can see a Gyromax style free-sprung balance for durability and precision of adjustment. Take a quick look at these bevels. These are some of the finest you'll find on any AP watch, and it's telling that the new jumbo no longer includes this movement. While the movement itself might be larger and more modern, the new movement also lacks the beauty and the truly detailed manual level execution of details that you find on these older JLC-based AP 2121s. These are extremely special. The one note about setting the date on these is that you basically sweep the hour hand through midnight, then you back up to 10 o'clock. Then you sweep again, and you sort of ratchet the date forward. That's the only respect in which this movement really kind of shows its age. But then again, it's not a correction you'll have to make more than 5 times per year. If you love this extraordinarily handcrafted, diamond-paved, ice blue dial white gold jumbo, reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.